Hi, my name is Maciej Zawadzki, and today let's talk about DevOps, the term DevOps, and where it has come from, and its evolution over time. I think one of the great things about the term DevOps is how strong it is, and I think it's so strong because of the imagery that it kind of evokes. But that imagery has actually changed over time, which I think may be part of why it's such a great term, DevOps. Early on, the imagery associated with DevOps had more to do with operations people adopting the tools and processes that were used by developers. So, as an example, rather than an operations person logging into a server and typing out a command and to execute it, the operations person would adopt more of the tools and practices of developers. So that person would write down the command into a text file, a script, and version control that script, and then execute that script whenever that command needed to be, or command or sequence of commands would need to be run. So that was really called infrastructure as code, and I think that was one of the first imageries associated with DevOps, right? Operations people adopting tools and practices of developers. So, or we push the tools and practices of developers into operations. Eventually, I think what has happened is that the imagery associated with DevOps really shifted, so now it represents more of the wall, or the attempt to get rid of the wall, obliterate the wall that seemingly exists between development and operations, right? That imagery has really resonated with a lot of organizations and people out there because it's so readily apparent, right? Most organizations, IT organizations, will have different reporting structures for development teams and operations teams. Most IT organizations will have different tooling used by development teams and operations teams. And of course, the big one is that the goal of development teams is really to make changes, to develop new code, new features, fix bugs, etc., which then need to be introduced into production in order to really make their way to their users, right? So that we can gain value from those changes. Whereas operations, really their goal is to maintain the stability of the system. And if you want to maintain the stability of a system, of course, you want to minimize the introduction of change because each change represents risk. So I guess my point here today was just to kind of talk about DevOps, the term DevOps, the imagery associated with the term, and how it has shifted over time. Perhaps next time we'll talk about how DevOps is similar to the evolution of DevOps is similar to the evolution of Agile, also about the people, process, and tools of DevOps. So join me next time for that. Thanks.